Sea of Thieves. We all know it, we all love it, and we all hate it. It's essentially the Tumblr of video games. Broken, buggy, barely functional, but at its core it is such a unique and enriching experience that we can't help but adore every miserable second of it. Whether you're a PvE enthusiast or a PvP enjoyer, every playstyle has its place on the open waves. Sadly, though, the community around this game has some massive problem elements. Now, just from me saying that, all of you have probably at least thought of one incident or individual that represents everything you hate about this game. Maybe you thought of people who only ever do gold hoarder voyages, people who stack veils, people who exclusively attack other players, server hoppers who target Fort of the Damned or Fort of Fortune, merchants who run away for hours, or even that one guy who server hops specifically to steal your barnacle chests. Yeah, that's right, Craig. I know what you've been doing. I remember. But whatever you thought of, I'm here to tell you that you're all wrong. If I say the phrase, "What's wrong with Sea of Thieves?" and you thought of any of the groups I mentioned just now, you are completely incorrect. The problem elements in the Sea of Thieves community aren't the PvE exclusive players or the PvP exclusive players. If someone wants to spend 8 hours stacking gold vaults, they're not wrong for that. If someone else decides they want that 8-hour stack as soon as you're done stacking and kicks your teeth in to get it, they aren't wrong for that either. You want to server hop to steal Athena chests or chests of fortune? Do it. You want to hunt down every megalodon you see? Do it. You want to spend your days fishing for Merrick and his family? You gotta do it. RIP to the king. He will not be missed. The problem elements in the Sea of Thieves community aren't any specific playstyle, not even related. The problem elements are people who complain about features and functions of the game and think it should be dedicated to their playstyle specifically, because they are special little snowflakes, and every game should be about them. You've all met at least one of these players, whether in the seas or forums or, God forbid, the YouTube comments. On one side, we have the Alliance server players. These clods take over servers through bullying and harassment, then sell these servers to people who are either extremely butthurt about even the notion of PvP, oh God forbid, that they'd rather pay $60 a month to be safe and protected, or they genuinely don't know better and have been gaslit into thinking that PvE servers are an official thing that they have to pay for after already buying the game. I don't know how they trick these people. These people would rather lose their own hard-earned cash to eliminate half of the game's intentional ecosystem than play the game as it was designed to be played and lose nothing but a couple hours of work. They don't want to get better at defending their loot, they just want to be safe and secure in their own little bubble. And when they encounter PvP, what do? They either call you a toxic hacker or start hacking themselves. Now, I get it, I empathize. We all have our salty moments when a skilled crew sails in and just completely annihilates us. Being salty in those circumstances is fine, it's to be expected, but channeling that salt into slinging accusations around, it's not a good use of your energy. Neither is toggling on your aimbot because the double gunner sent you to the ferry in half a second. Why do you even have that? Just get over yourselves, get better at the game, and power through it. Power through every single loss, because you're going to lose a lot. Trash talk if you want, that's okay in some circumstances, but at the end of the day, either you're going to have to make an attempt to improve your self-defense skills, or you'll just have to accept that this isn't the game for you. And for the scammers that run these official Alliance servers, fuck you. You're the Sea of Thieves equivalent of those people who call vulnerable and gullible grandmas and tell them that cats are going extinct and scam them out of thousands of dollars. I know you don't care, but sincerely, Fuck you. And next up, we have TDMers. These people are the ones that annoy me the most, personally, although objectively they aren't really more or less of a problem than the rest of the garbage on this list. Now, before I start, I should probably clarify, because I know at least one TDMer simp is going to watch this video, I should elucidate on what I mean when I say TDMer. Not all double gunners are TDMers. TDMers are specifically the people who need the quick swap exploit to win fights and ceaselessly complain about the sword. That combination specifically. They talk a big game and act like they're tough shit, trash talking you no matter how nice you try to be. Engage in naval combat, you're a bot. Blunderbomb them off your ladder, you're boring. Miss them once with a gun, you need to uninstall the game. Do you use a sword? Out comes the racial slurs. You kill them with a sword? Oh, that's all of the racial slurs. They also seem to think that calling you Jewish is an insult. I don't know if they mean the race or the religion. It's just as confusing either way. At least call me something creative, like a boiled broccoli sandwich or a mentally deranged wombat. That's at least fun. I think the funniest thing about TDMers is that they constantly complain about the sword. It's OP. It needs to be nerfed. It does too much damage. It backtracks like crazy. You weren't even looking at me. Now, on the screen right now is a handy little graph I've made to illustrate why these people are complete idiots. As you can see, the surface area of the blade is usually 3 or 4 feet, and you are hopping around 2 feet away from me. Human arms tend to have a broad range of motion that can go outside the field of view. Now, I know none of you paid attention class since kindergarten, but let's do a little math here. 2-foot arm length plus 3-foot blade, and you are 2 feet away. That blade's probably going to hit you. If you take a look at the animation of a player swinging a sword, yeah, that swing sure is covering a lot of space, but that's odd. If you look even closer, the blade stays attached to the hilt. That means at no point does the sword ever become a long-distance weapon. Now let's look at your loadout at— oh, wow! You have a sniper rifle and a pistol? Both of these weapons shoot bullets. Here's the thing about bullets. They don't have a large surface area, so you have to be really careful and make sure they go where you want them to. But here's the other thing about bullets. They work beyond 3 feet away. Sometimes they can work up to a whole 20 yards away. Wow. Now let's do some more math here. You have 2 weapons that can kill an enemy player in 2 hits, and can hit that enemy player multiple yards away. Your opponent has a weapon that can kill in 4 hits, but only works within a 5-foot range. With the exception of the high-risk, high-reward sword lunge that, if missed, will incapacitate them for about 3 seconds. That lunge does as much damage as a single sniper shot. If you're as good at aiming as you say you are, who exactly should be winning this matchup? But the hit reg— yes, the hit reg in this game is unreliable at best. That isn't the sword's fault. But the backtracking— yes, backtracking is also a problem. Hitting an enemy player when they should be out of reach of your weapons is a bug. This isn't the sword's fault. But, so here's the thing. When did you last backtrack someone with your bullets? Did you say that you shouldn't have hit that and complain about the game being unfair, or did you take advantage of the game's bugginess and continue the fight as if you deserved that kill? So when you backtrack someone with a sniper shot that should have missed by all accounts, it's fine and you can claim that you're just that skilled. But when you get backtracked with a sword because you thought that running into a limited space with someone holding a massive blade was a smart idea, that's what's bullshit. That's when the game's bugged. The issue isn't the sword. The issue is backtracking, hit reg, and you refusing to own up to the fact that you don't know how to account for melee weapons. There's only one melee weapon in the entire game, and you can't figure out how it works. And yet sword users are the unskilled ones. Sure, buddy. Sure. Next up, we have the exploiters. Okay, this one's kind of tricky. I personally hold the belief that if something is in the game and requires absolutely no third party software to pull off, it should be considered a feature until it's patched. Sword dashing, for example, is a massive, massive mobility boost that lets players skim across decently sized areas of water and was completely unintentional. But Rare didn't make it illegal and ban everyone who used it, they kept it as a fun feature of the game's physics. Quick swapping is annoying to fight against. I know, trust me, I don't have the dexterity to pull it off, so it can seem like an unfair advantage. However, generally the people that use it would have killed you regardless. If they can aim that precisely without using aimbot, does switching weapons 0.4 seconds faster really make that much of a difference? Although I fully admit it's funny to watch them mauled whenever Rare tries to patch it out. The question goes both ways. If you can aim that well, why do you need to swap weapons 0.4 seconds faster? It's like watching an entitled kid complain about toys that aren't up to their standards. It's pathetic in the most hilarious way. But when push comes to shove, it doesn't really matter. It's not that important. It's not the most annoying thing to deal with. It's fine. Ladder launching is another famous exploit, and if you PvP subcommunities, I've seen how people do it, how much of an advantage it gives them, and I'll be honest, I don't get why it's controversial. If anything, it's just cannon launch plus. The only bullshit thing it does is let them get to your boat and dolphin dive from extreme distances, which, yeah, so cannon launching or sword dashing, but over longer distances. I don't know about any of you, but if I was looking at somebody's boat who's like 2 clicks away and all of a sudden somebody comes bolting up to me, gets on my ship, and blunders me in the face, I'd be more impressed and slightly amused than upset, I think. I don't know if people get banned for doing that specifically, but I don't know, they really shouldn't. It's not like it gives them insulator powers, it's fine, it's not a cheat, leave them alone. It's not really any more bullshit than like dolphin diving onto your deck from a high up sword lunge. It mechanically it serves the same purpose. It really shouldn't be bannable, especially when the method on how to do it isn't even a secret. It's just a matter of figuring out how. I'm sure there are other exploits that are more or less widely known or controversial than these two, but these are the only ones I know about that are like, controversial. You'd think if there's such a huge problem, Rare would have tried to fix them before they tried to fix situational exploits like harpoon boarding or map table boarding or boarding off the back of a rowboat that's hanging off the back of someone's ship. Seriously, what the fuck were they thinking about with that one? Why try to patch that? That's fine. Anyway, next people, the hackers. It's no secret that this game has had an explosion of hackers recently. You know the guys, they fly hack onto your boat, 2-tap you, and drop 15 kegs on your ship just because they wanna. Rare doesn't really seem to want to implement anti cheat software though, and I suspect it's because they are so unfamiliar with coding multiplayer games that they're afraid it'll ban players who experience bugs. At least that's my running theory. I've yet to be proven wrong. And then there's the ones that use macros to quick swap because they feel entitled to that exploit, or they use aimbot, or both. The Venn diagram between macro users, TDMers, and aimbotters is almost a circle, I swear. But if you point out their blatant aimbotting, they just pull out the "I'm on Xbox, bro," or "I'm not cheating, I'm just good," which is additionally frustrating because then when people who genuinely are just that good try to clarify that they aren't cheating, they end up sounding exactly like the 2000 hackers who say the same lines. Don't even get me started on the FOV hacks. I used to think it was nothing to be too fussed about because surely it doesn't give too much of an advantage, but then I thought about it for 2 seconds. If it isn't that big of an advantage, why are you so insistent on it? Why do you go out of your way to cheat if it's so inconsequential? Why do you need it so badly if you'd be doing just as good without it? The people who use it like to say that it's just a preference, but you can live without preferences. I, for example, prefer the taste of soda over water. That doesn't mean I'm going to go out of my way to make sure every drink I have is soda because that's can't say that word anymore. Right. Because that's moronic. If it's just a preference, you should be able to do fine without it. Which kind of brings me to my next point. There's a common trend of hackers justifying their hacks by saying the game is boring, and they use hacks because there's nothing else fun to do, or it's just how they like to play. It doesn't matter if it's aimbot, macros, fly hacking, speed hacking, or FOV, they'll excuse it out the wazoo, and you're the bad guy for saying that if they need to break the game to have fun, maybe they shouldn't play it. So you can probably see why the TDMer and hacker overlap is so massive. This game doesn't constantly move at 500 miles an hour like Apex Legends or Fortnite, so their TikTok-addled brains can't handle it, and they need to break the game to make it more fun for them. Basically, Rare, for the love of God, please implement anti-cheat. It can't be that hard, seriously. Which brings me to the group that completely encompasses all of the previously mentioned cringelord factions, the Salt Lords, universally hated, especially among each other. You play the game in a way that they don't like, you're toxic, you're the problem with the game, and you need to uninstall because they are the true fans of this game. Fully equipped with the self-awareness of a blueberry and the tact of a lobotomized koala, these players will whine, complain, and sometimes mass report you because you dared to disturb their special little bubble. Alliance server players and TDMers overlap massively in this area, though they will never admit it. They want the open world sandbox PvEVP game to be all about their playstyle, because theirs is the correct and moral playstyle, and they will beat it into your head with ceaseless slurs and unwarranted reports because they are more mature than you. Basically, okay, remember that incident in the Steven Universe fandom where a bunch of fans stockpiled and just completely bullied this one poor girl nearly to suicide because she drew a cartoon character's skin color one shade lighter than it was in the show? Yeah, that's basically the Alliance server slash TDM community mindset right there. Doesn't really matter what weapon loadout you use, what playstyle you prefer, or what cosmetics you enjoy. Someone in the game somewhere is offended by them and all of your personal choices. Some rivalries are fun, like picking on Ashenhole or Crablord Krakenlords, because there's no real malice behind them. I used to be a Krakenlord. It's fun to get attacked and like, oh yeah, your cosmetics are shit. That's just fun. But Poseidon help you if you use two guns, a sword, fire bombs, blunderbombs, or curse balls, because someone's going to call you a slur for it. If you enjoy fishing or tall tales, you're boring and you need to uninstall. If you enjoy dominating servers and killing for loot stacks, you're toxic and should be banned. If you enjoy stacking loot, you're a bot and you deserve to be spawn camped for 3 hours. If you want to play the game as intended, you deserve to have hacks used against you. Salt Lords are all over the seas, and in a game as beautiful as Sea of Thieves, it's a shame that encountering a PvPer who says GG's or a PvE player who admits fair game are notable experiences. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend this is what most of the community is like. This is like 15% at the very, very most. I have met so many chill and awesome people in this game, some of whom have just become long-term friends. The vast majority of the SOC community are people who know what this game is, a PvEVP sandbox. It's not a grind-heavy PvE safe space like Kingdom Defense. It's not a competitive, high-octane shooter like Apex Legends. It's not even an open code god mode simulator like Gmod. It's a player versus environment sandbox where you are free to live your vision of the pirate's life. Whether that's focusing on PvE, PvP, or just enjoying the scenery, music, and stories this game has to offer, you all belong here. As long as you have the patience for it, the seas are yours to explore, to conquer, and to admire. And I think the vast majority of the player base needs to be more vocal about why we love this game because of what it's trying to be. We need to critique it and criticize it from a more honest place that isn't just it's not appealing to our specific play styles. And that honest place, that honest core of the game that we need to focus on in order to critique it properly, it's not PvP focused, it's not PvE focused, it is an ecosystem of both, two focuses at the same time, because those two playstyles need each other to survive in this ecosystem. They need to challenge each other, strengthen each other, and do it all again. Because it's not that the strongest survive, it's that the strongest thrive. You want to sell those chests, you better be able to defend them. You want to steal that gold, you better be able to sink them to take it. And neither of those playstyles is wrong. They're both what's intended to be done. Stop being salty that the game isn't appealing to your side specifically. If you want only your side specifically, this just isn't the game for you. It's not supposed to be about you. It's about both sides of that conflict and seeing who comes out on top. Because you can't have triumph without tribulation and trial. Thank you all for listening to my rant on what I consider to be the true, most genuine problems with the Sea of Thieves community. I'm not really expecting a video like this to do well given the bad mic quality and limited amount of editing, but hey, it's what I can do. And if any of you find this video and enjoy it, you're more than welcome to stick around. I just made this because I feel like it. I'm not planning to launch a YouTube career off of this or anything, at least not until I have better equipment, but hey, I appreciate you sticking around until the end of the video. If I feel like it, I might make another video, maybe about SOT or one of the other games I enjoy playing when I can, but no promises. Motivation to do this kind of thing is hard to come by as it is. In any case, thanks again for watching or listening, and I'll see you on the seas.